It's another week of Marvel's Fight Night here as we enter week 3. I'm Achilleos here alongside of Vast, and we are here to answer one simple question. Who is the best team in Europe and then North America? Welcome to the show, everybody. Avast, hello. Good to be back with you once again.
It is great to be back, but something to remember, Seth, is that that's two questions. That's two separate regions. So.
You know,
you can combine them, I guess.
To the first question, you know, it's a little separate, added little thing. But either way, yes, we have two questions. Both will be solved by the end of the evening. But hello and welcome to Rivals Fight Night. We got ZP's own team, 0% going up against Luminosity to start off the day. I didn't know ZP was like that. Didn't know that he had his own coffers and everything. But yeah, I guess he's just been hiding these coffers. But that's also explains how we've been able to put on this show and make it look so damn good for everybody.
I mean, that's just the power with crypto. You can rug pull anyone you want to fund an esports team. And I think that's the important. But I actually don't know if that's how 0% is currently funded. But for those that aren't aware, 0%, that is the former Fnatic roster. So a team that's been around for quite some time. And for first versus LG, obviously, another team in EU that's been a powerhouse. So it's going to be a really exciting first match overall, despite, you know, despite the fact that maybe ZP's dubious claims to that roster.
I think 0% stands for how much tax ZP pays, and that's why he's got all of these accrued, all this accrued wealth. So I think we're getting to the bottom of it all right here. I didn't know that he was just rich like that, but it's all coming together. But I mean, who better to speak on, you know, his own roster and what we can kind of expect from this team than ZP himself, and we will be having him alongside us. So welcome the CEO of 0%.
At IRS.
Okay,
at IRS,
there's
that
a lot
guy.
of for information going on here. Look, ZP does have the acronym ZP, but I am not involved in any way. Of course, they're the team formerly known as Fnatic. Fnatic for now has exited, but the, you know, new name, same great roster going on, right? A roster that played really well during the Marvel Rivals Invitational. They came very close to getting into the grand finals, just dropped 3 maps to OG, getting 2 in turn. But excited to see them play here today, because historically, both the ZP roster and Luminosity have played each other really close. But of course, the question is, after the Challenger matches, can either of these two teams find it within them to match up against the just gods of the EU scene in VP? But, you know, to be seen.
That is the question. I mean, we just keep, you know, we're stacking up these questions here. But VP has looked absolutely indomitable, but we also, you know, there's always a chance for those change-ups to happen. VP, in the sister broadcast of Deadlock Fight Night, has also suffered some stumbles where they also seem to look like gods. They were able to reaffirm their throne, but it seems like it's a little bit different here. It seems like there's a bit wider of a gap within Marvel Rivals that VP it's going to take a while, I think, for some teams to catch up.
And I think that overall, if there is a couple rosters in Europe compared to maybe even what we saw from North America now, that, you know, Fnatic lost at a very, very close game most recently to OG. OG, we've had them in Rivals Fight Night before, and overall, like, I just think that it's a very, very tight race for second currently in Europe. And Virtus Pro, they're kind of standing at the summit. They're standing there, not the Summit 1G, but rather just the summit. And I think overall, like, that is really the question for Europe, is like, who really is the second best team right now? Is it OG? Is it Fnatic? Is it even LG, obviously, who's had like a very, very strong run? So this is kind of, once again, another data point if you're keeping track of, like, okay, who is like kind of fighting for that second place position, and do they have a chance at all to take any rounds off of VP and take them to the limit? Because currently, I wouldn't say that there's like a very high chance. ZP, I don't know if you disagree yourself. I'm like, you know, is Fnatic really, do they have a high chance here coming into this? Like,
well,
not just
0%. Yeah, I do. At least, well, okay. Well, okay, in the first matchup, absolutely. Versus VP, I mean, look, stuff is always in flux early on in an esport, and, you know, a team that's dominant one week may not be so much next. I think what makes VP good is, like, difficult to necessarily immediately go after from the other sides, where it's just VP's just really good on fundamentals. But let's focus on the current match here, right? Where you're getting into the LG roster. LG also, you know, again, there's kind of a top 4 at EU other than VP, right? Where they also brought OG to the limit in a 5-map series. And OG, of course, was barely beaten by ex-Oblivione last week. So, you know, the pack is pretty close. And when you look at LG in specifically here, right, you do have some legacy talent here. Like, players like Naga have been great at hero shooters forever. Naga looked really, really good last Rivals Fight Night he was on 2 weeks ago. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how these teams will match up here again. But based on history, I think it is going to be a very close series.
Absolutely. Time will tell as we are just moments away from getting the players loaded up and ready to go here in the lobby. The thing that we kind of discovered last week with 100 Thieves getting ready to make their debut in that series and then qualifying in to now be the defending champions was that the EU players are a lot faster about getting into the lobby and getting the draft going. We haven't had to wait nearly as long for these guys, so hopefully that's going to continue as we get ready to go into ZP versus Luminosity. It's going to be really difficult for me to not smile and chuckle every time I say ZP. I'm going to try to say 0% just to try to avoid that one, because otherwise I think the joke is too good.
You don't smile and chuckle anyways?
No, usually it's no, we don't.
His name comes to mind. I have a wry smile across my lips every time the ZP name comes to my mind.
It does, because I think of good times in esports that I've had over the last several years, and now they're continuing since I've joined the crew here at Rivals Fight Night, which is awesome. I will get the name correct. It's 5 in the morning, so apologies if there's some slip-ups from time to time. Your man's working on 5 hours of sleep, but you know what? We do it for the love of the game.
Well, for me, I'm just excited to see where things go here, because obviously right now it's a little bit of a lull on the EU side competition-wise. Like on the North American side, we still got the Marvel Rivals Invitational going, so we're kind of seeing up-to-date updates on the NA meta. But for EU, the last look, of course, was last week here at Rivals Fight Night, so we get to see what has changed within about 1 week of play. Where the EU teams apparently went through a very rigorous scrim schedule for about a month going into MRI for EU, where basically it was just non-stop scrimming, non-stop prep. Teams had a little bit of time off, but now a little bit of time off. They've had time to rejuvenate, get back into the scrim cycle, and I'm just interested to see how much bleed over there may be from the NA side. NA obviously to some extent was experimenting with things like more triple tank, which didn't necessarily work out super well, but the fact remains is that things continue to change week after week. So I'm just interested to see the first ban protect to come out here to see, okay, where are we actually at in this particular week? Just because seeing things evolve, pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that you're always going to get with this kind of game is just seeing what other people are doing, saying, okay, we really like that style. We think that works for us because X player is really good at this pick, so on and so forth. So I think that it's going to be a while until we get to any kind of actual solid meta, and just given the way that the game is updated, it probably will actually never really happen, frankly, because as updates continue to come through, as new heroes are added into the game, which there is obviously a huge ledger to pull from for a title named Marvel Rivals. I think that it's always going to be so in flux that you never really end up having a situation where X thing is the best thing. And also with a ban and protect system, you can always change things up on that front as well.
I like how you cursed us, Seth, by the way. You're like, yeah, Europe's so much better at getting in the lobby really fast.
And then
and we are not in the lobby. We are not in the lobby. We're like, Europe, I even had a joke prepared. I was like, oh, they're so used to taking public transit. They have to deal with train schedules, Like, of course they have to be on time. Wrong, like just totally wrong. So the whole bit fell apart. And now we're waiting for the lobby to actually see the ban and protects come out. And overall, it sounds like that we're close, because we have just heard from production that we're about to go in. So there we are, finally. Get a little ban and protect, a little graphic.
And protect, and off the rip, looks like we're just going to be seeing Wolverine take out of the equation. This is something that we were seeing heavily focused when we were casting NA last week as well. Seems like it's going to be the same, but the Namor ban was not something that I was seeing much of from North America, but 0% not wanting that in the hands of Luminosity.
Yeah, I mean, anytime a team takes out Namor, I mean, part of it is just going to come from the idea of like, okay, we want to enable options to run anything that might be more on the dive spectrum, right? Because as soon as you have Namor in, you could expect that running dive would not go well. Also, on top of it, the fact that, it makes the Luna combo a little bit less ideal. But when you're protecting Venom, well, okay, you think back to how LG played in the past, not too surprising. Likely going to see a whole lot of Venom dive here, especially going into domination.
This is a team that's loved trust me on Venom a lot. And it's not too surprising either that they dropped a ban on Wolverine, because for 0%, Melio has played a lot of Wolverine for that team in the past. So, you know, across the board, and also removing Invisible Woman is also really, really strong to the Venom comp here, because typically you think like, oh, anti-dive, we're going to play a lot of Luna Snow, we're going to be having like the, you know, the cryo freeze to make sure to drop that freeze, get some value there. But also Invisible Woman is really, really good at denying dive value as well, because of the force push and the ability to just run away with the passive, get invisible. And it seems like not a final ban coming out for 0%. But I mean, if you're happy with how the bans are, you don't necessarily have to get rid of another hero.
Yeah, this is something that, I mean, across, I'd say a multitude of esports, as well as what we were seeing last week, is teams have been just kind of, you know, skipping going for these final bans, kind of liking what is available and maybe thinking like, we're going to have to utilize one of these remaining heroes that is still in the pool at a given point, perhaps. So wanting to just kind of have all options left open from there.
Well, going in the Royal Palace, will be interesting to see how it goes out, just because I feel like what we've seen here, you know, kind of, again, similar to hero shooter history, the domination map can play so much differently than when we get in the convoy and convergence. But for now, it'll be down to the fundamentals. Looking forward to see how this one goes. And already, you know, final thoughts here. Taking a look at the team comps. Well, you know what? I'm not going to do that. Team's troll. We'll see what it actually is.
Yeah, never trust in here at ever what you're going to see in the spawn doors. Even when you see Jeff, everyone's like, oh, I can't wait to see Jeff. Jeff is probably the only one you can trust, because you can do the speed bubble tech to, you know, get the speed boost for your teammates coming out.
We did have a little bit of Jeff moderately played last week, if memory does serve. It was kind of a little bit of a last-ditch effort to try to get a touch on the cart, but here we go. Portal going to be open here from Networks. Is 0% just teleporting their way forward here onto the point. Luminosity, no Strange, no Portal. Going to be a little bit later to arrive as the poke and prod does begin.
And you see Networks here just playing this off angle really aggressively right now, as Luminosity looking to set up the dive. Trust me, maneuvering around, being the little sneaky little Venom guy. As right now, it's just a lot of poke coming through. 0% just trying to find someone to isolate and make sure that LG does not have a very easy dive.
Luxley taking a little bit of damage there on that brute, but sustainability going to be found. And okay, straight shot is going to be going across as Monk Mudda able to find the opening kill. It's going to be Crook taken down, but is able to be brought back in. But Hello immediately able to find another. But little trade back is Luminosity going to be taken away from the side of 0%, but still no cap on this point quite just yet, needing a few more eliminations to come through to really be able to find that one. But already now Legendary going to be coming out as Naga builds up the ultimate, pops it immediately, just layering down that damage from above, comes away with a second kill here for the squad, and Luminosity turn the tides of the fight off the back of the ult.
The power of the comp here for LG, because they had the res available for Crook, for level 1 Crook there, because of the Adam team up. Additionally, they were just playing so split. They have so many different angles of fire there that despite Networks and Blackstone just trying to like isolate anyone, they can't. There's no one they're able to chase down there. And because of that res that comes up for Crook, and also just an incredibly fast farm there for Naga, the fight gets turned. And that's the beauty of this comp that's so mobile. You have that team up from Adam Warlock for the Mantis, for the Star-Lord. And so 0%, they're going to have to look into options to continually shut down the value there for these flankers, in particular Naga, Crook, you know, just make sure they can't get value from all that damage.
A little costly for them as well, as Line Pro had invested the ultimate there, but looks like Networks able to find one. Naga being put down, going to be a high value target as here comes Kraken. Up and over the top, look, it's still trying to break through these HP bars though, and it's really struggling to do so. Immediately, once again, turn on its head, Luminosity just able to just plant their feet and be able to find value off the back end. So ult invested for 0% once more, just not delivering results. And now Luminosity crest past 50% mark.
And this is kind of an issue here for 0% as well, because they're about to have another one of the Cosmic Yarn amplifiers, that damage amp for Line Pro, but they're playing this Rocket Raccoon backline, which means they don't have a lot of sustain. Really, there's not a lot of options, not a lot of second strategist ults there, a lot of second support ults to just keep everyone alive. So LG's going to be able to cycle his ults a lot more effectively here. Crook going to be looking forward. There's going to be also the Galactic Legend for Nagas. Now they're just going to chase, make sure they can find one, and they will. Just getting one here means the fight is pretty much over as is. Yeah,
Naga just popping the ult here, going on the offensive before 0% can even try to get back into a position to really start a retake happening here. Certainly does get taken down there. A little bit of a trade as Trust Me ends up falling, but obviously can rejoin very quickly on that Venom. 90% here as Luminosity continuing to push forward, wanting to just take this fight over towards the spawn room door, stop them from even going for the touch. Ivagamoto does come out. Line Pro able to get that res back in here on the Blackstone, bring him back into the fray. We were able to find one, and Munkmana does get taken down. So it seems like Luminosity not.
They don't touch. They got
They
slammed.
don't get the touch. I thought for sure that was going to be 0% being able to get themselves established, but they can't even make it back to the point. So never mind. The limit testing is absolutely gorgeous from Luminosity, taking just as much space as they needed to, it seems.
And what's so interesting about the LG comp here, especially with Invisible Woman being banned, is that what was so important in that fight previously was that there was able to be a Cryheart, that freeze come out from Luna Snow to isolate a target to get just one pick, because even though Network's going to pop the Eye Bagamoto right after, they have bubbles from Rajaro to keep people alive, and then it's a stagger. Everyone's trying to run, touch the point, we have to touch, and you have another threat there from the CC, from the stun, and that's kind of the value of this triple strategist comp, is that when you have both Luna and you have the Mantis, you have two different very strong CC options, and so that Spore Slumber, that sleep that comes out from level 1 quick, just denies the touch from 0%, and they have nothing to deal with it because they didn't have another strategy, because once again, they were still dealing with the fact they had Rocket Raccoon, so sure, they had the BRB to get the res, but there was no health. There was no shields. It was just the damage amp coming out from the CYA. So just a really tough fight there for 0%. They're going to have to look to make something happen. And my eyes are going to be, a lot of this is going to be on Munkmada. With Networks going over to the Magneto, because Munkmada here has been a staple for this roster, even when they're in Fnatic, has been consistently very, very strong on Hela. And you're going to need the shutdowns coming out from Munkmada here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a little bit of an impact there alongside Milio as well for that duelist role, but just wasn't enough. And every time they had gotten an advantage, it was just very quickly taken away from them. Speaking of which, Milio immediately going to be taken down. Line Pro does have the res set up, though, brings it back in, but as soon as one returns, another falls. Munkmana now going to be traded out. So once again, it's Luminosity putting that right foot forward. And look at the ult economy already. Naga about to have another ult online, and there's 4 more to pair with it.
Re-engage going to be happening here for 0%. I mean, they will have 3 ults available, so probably just going to try to farm the Rocket Raccoon ult here yet again. Strangling Prison out. Can they get the 2 supports? Probably not going to be able to get them molested. Yeah, they don't. They're not going to have anything. I mean, there's no Magneto ult available to burn them through. Oh my god. Rajaro with 2. And you can see the problem here, Achilleos. Like, you know, they have the Rocket Raccoon, right? They're at 82%. They're about to have the amp, but they just don't have, like, they pretty much just don't have enough options to mitigate. They have no options to mitigate. They didn't even bother popping their, you know, their Fated with Worlds there. So, I mean, this is just a real problem right now for 0%.
Yeah. Still nearly 3 ready to go as Crook nearly has his ultimate online. 0% trying to build these up. Network's still a ways away from having that Meteor M online. The odds of having as impactful of one as we just saw from Rajaro, pretty damn slim. As here comes the dive forward. Trust me, just jumping in, pops the ultimate here, getting that shield ramped up. Line Pro going to be dumping the ultimate, but needing to see that damage coming through. In the meantime, Munkmada up and over the top here with the Goddess of Death, just layering in some damage. Does manage to shove them back a decent bit, but 0% still. They make their way forward onto the point and start getting this flipped into their favor. 60% about to be crested, but Melio again going to be taken down. Naga able to find Line Pro, and it continues to fall apart. 0% every time. It seems like they're taking a step towards that point. They get shoved right back into the spawn room doors.
And this is the strength of the triple strategist yet again into this comp. I mean, I'm sure Munkmada had to feel like Sisyphus pushing the boulder up there. You saw there's the Goddess of Death, the orbs come in, and there's a soul bond coming out from Destroyed. No one goes down. They have enough damage as well from both level 1 Crook and Destroyed to just like get to pretty much end that ult as well. And if anyone tries to push, like Lexo there on the Groot tries to push that backline, just CC'd, takes an incredible amount of damage, especially with the damage boost coming out from the Mantis. And so 0% gonna be in a last ditch scenario to touch the point with one ult, just the Meteor M.
Just the Meteor M, and even if they do get a pick, unless it's on Destroyed, it's going to be able to just res them right back into the fight. Naga at the same time, about to go ahead and have his ult online once again for the umpteenth time it was seen here in this map. Munkmada able to find 1, able to find 2. Destroyed, Fate both going to be taken down. Crucially, that means that the res is not available. Meteor M does go out, kill not going to be found. Kraken available now for Milio as we enter into the overtime. The neutral kill going to be coming through. Destroyed, able to just continue to bring them back here into the fray. Another Meteor M, and right on top of Milio, just absolutely domes him with it. That overtime is going to start bleeding down. You see Networks just juggled around here in the front lines. Bluxo unable to get there in time to try to keep his fellow Vanguard protected. Continues to go lower. Anaga Agamotto not going to be seen as Luminosity able to fight tooth and nail. Oh boy, what a 2-0. Dominance here from Luminosity off the rip.
I mean, Achilleos, I must say, like, I thought it was going to be, I soy pogged there at the end. I thought there was going to be a way bigger jump there, because Trust Me goes in, drops the Cellular Corrosion, which, you know, kind of slow, gives a little bit of a slow there off the Frenzied Arrival. And so I thought the Meteor was going to be huge, but it was still very big. Gets one pick, denies a lot of the value. And despite an excellent usage of the Meteor from Networks to deny the Galactic Legend that's coming out from Naga, they just didn't have the ult power. They didn't have the positioning. They're, even with Magmunda getting picks, it just wasn't enough because they have the Karmic Revival. And I think it's just being in that ult deficit coming into that last fight. And you saw it a lot just playing to the triple strategist. They couldn't find their footing. They weren't getting the picks they needed. And it's just incredibly hard because of the fact that they have so much value, so much damage, so much CC from that backline. And they were trying to find something to work there, and they just couldn't make it work ever.
Oh, yeah, I mean, ZP back into the mix here after the first map. ZP, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at how this one broke down, right? You had a huge sustained difference between both teams going in here, where you have one team running triple strategist, the other team is running two, and also one of the two is a rocket. The only way that composition was going to work is if Melio had the game of his life, getting buffed up with the rocket team up on the Winter Soldier. It didn't quite happen. You're also running the Hela, where Hela can be a difference maker, right? Where you can get, heavy pressure on the strategist. The problem was that Trust Me was in Magmunda's face the entire time. So the benefits that they could have been getting from running two duelists didn't really manifest, in part because of Trust Me going in, and in part because I just think, wherever Melio was getting the team up, it just wasn't in situations meaningful enough to either get a pick onto the Venom or a pick onto a target in the back. And when you're also running the triple strategist comp, the reality is the longer the fight goes, the more likely it's going to go in your favor. So there's just enormous pressure on the 0% to get early picks, and it never happened. And eventually they just get bled out in most of these fights.
I'll take a look back here at the replays, but I mean, from the outside, it seemed like maybe 0% was going to be in a decent position, but once Luminosity took hold, they just did not relinquish it. You see Line Pro stun there right on the corner of the point, unable to get that contest, and then everything just falls to pieces from there. And it just felt like that same momentum was carried forward by Luminosity the whole way through at Royal Palace.
100%. ZP definitely touched on a very important part there, which they had to team up for the Rocket Raccoon the whole time. That was a big part of their strategy. It was like, okay, we're gonna have the BRB for a res. We're gonna have hopefully a very fast ult with the CYA with the amplifier, and then we get that infinite grip. We get the ability to get pretty much a rate of fire increase, infinite ammo for the Winter Soldier, hoping you can deny the value of the Venom, right? Hoping you can pretty much burst through that Venom. But Venom is honestly probably the hardest current Vanguard character in the game to limb, to remove from the field. Just he has so much sustain because of the symbiotic resistance. You have the ult as well, which gives you more health back based off the amount of health that you do based off the percentage of the health of the target. So overall, the strat just wasn't working. I wouldn't even necessarily say that it was 100% an issue with composition. If they're gonna play that composition, you need to be finding picks a lot sooner into the triple strategist. But it still runs to the secondary trap there. They're activating their second trap card of, okay, you get a pick. Well, 3 of our characters can res. We have Cocoons from the Adam Warlock team up, right? So it's a very, very hard comp to deal with overall. And it's not impossible. It just definitely didn't feel like it was working for 0% there.
Yeah, I mean, you have so much pressure on the Hela player in particular, right? Where Hela is one of those characters right now where she feels incredible if you're able to quickly get pickoffs. If for whatever reason you're not able to get into a spot where you can be, 2-3 tapping supports, or you're just getting zoned out, in this case by a Venom repeatedly, you can quickly run into an era where it's like, oh, why are we even running this? And look, it was a very hard task for Magmunda, but overall, they weren't able to convert playing the Hela into effective picks. And as you say, Vest, when they did get picks, a good portion of the roster was just going to come immediately back up anyways. So it was a tough compositional matchup. But now, Seth, we're heading into Midtown.
There we are. And I think the big question for me as we get ready to go into Midtown is for 0%, are you going to use your second ban after what you've seen and what you have suffered at the hands of Luminosity on that first map? Because with one of those follow-up bans, you could just take away one of the key pieces to this triple healer comp that is going to become that has just come through against you. Do you take rid of the Adam Warlock, which is something that we were seeing very much target focused last week when it came down to the bans? Do you take away the Luna? Whichever you would like. I think that's going to be pretty likely here, but 0% going to be feeling a lot more comfortable. We also have seen some teams have these rockier starts at the beginning, play the domination, and then just be able to kind of really get, settled in the saddle and be able to ride the horse for the rest of the series. So I'm not counting 0% out quite just yet. I think that there is still a lot more to show, but I want to see from the outset that adaptation coming through just from the ban protect, because I think that's where it has to start.
And I definitely think that overall 100% for 0%, for the point about 0%. There's a lot of percentages, but I think the triple strategist call out there Achilles, of maybe they utilize that second ban. That's probably gonna be the crux of the issue. And remember, this is a BO5 or a first to 3, put on the nerd glasses. So there is maps that can be given, right? You could theoretically use that first map as like, okay, we feel confident in this, but maybe it's a good way to like feel out how they're gonna play potentially. Now we know, like, okay, let's target ban some heroes for the next round and for the next map. So I do think that for 0%, maybe that was your strat there. And more than likely, if I were to pick a ban, if they were to utilize that, it would be the Adam Warlock, right? Because without the Adam Warlock, the triple strategist does not work. You don't have enough damage. You don't get the value from that team up that you do typically when you're playing the Star-Lord and the Mantis. So more than likely, without a Warlock, you don't see a triple strategist.
Well, I also think going in here, it's a tough call between banning that and banning the Venom, right? Because also, you know, we know Monk Mutta is an incredible duelist, and I do think a lot of the value that they might have been able to get from Monk Mutta was a little bit muted because of the Venom. It was the two things, right? It was the Venom and it was a triple strategist. I think if you don't ban the Venom first, Venom will get protected, as we saw in the last round, right? So I think you may have to lead with the Venom ban, but then you could still potentially ban a key part of the triple strategist comp after the like make it far less valuable. I think that may be the ban order they go with here. But also, as you get into a convoy map now, it's a little bit more in flux, right? Where the strategy might just be different in general. There's also other things you could do against the Venom tier 2, where, for example, they banned the Namor last time. You could also, like, if you know you're going to be going up against Venom, you could decide to run something more into more focus to make things difficult for Venom. Probably one of the better counter picks we've seen. So, I mean, there's multiple ways that they can shift up this draft, but about to see how that's going to take place.
Ready to jump into it once again. Luminosity just going to be getting that Wolverine out of the equation here. And let's see, do they stick with the Namor? No, as you were talking about, ZP, it is going to be that Venom taken away off the rip with a Protect once again, perhaps, coming through? Or is it going to be a change-up?
I think they
like a Groot Protect. Yeah,
it's going to be the
Groot Protect. They do like putting Black Soul on the Groot a lot for 0%. And, you know, with Venom off the field, typically you don't see teams necessarily ban the Venom a lot because especially in an A, because like there's been a lot more thing played, but also like when you ban Venom, you're essentially saying, okay, we're gonna put you on a comp that's like a little bit more standard, like a double shield or even to this Groot comp, and you have to feel really confident in that, right? And they luckily 0% does. They love playing that as also getting rid of the Star-Lord too, so they really don't want to deal with that triple team up either because Adam Warlock being protected, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the Warlock Protect come in, you had to think that you were going to get the ban on Star-Lord in turn, just because if you are going to run one single DPS, having that single duelist being able to immediately revive is a little bit too much, on top of the fact that Star-Lord is just a bit of a comfort pick on top of it. So, yeah, getting rid of Star-Lord, probably the best play for 0% going into this. But look, I'm kind of excited to see how this one goes down. They've made some key adjustments. They won't have to deal with the Venom. Monk Mutta's going to have way more room to deal with. And on top of it, if you're a team that likes playing Hela, I think you just have more room for setup on the Convoy and Convergence maps than you do on Domination a lot of the time, in terms of just good areas to be placed, you know, more terrain to take advantage of. So if 0% is going to bounce back, very likely here.
Yeah, is their map pick should be maximum comfort, and they have the adjustments here in the drafts. Thank you very much, CP. We'll see you after mid-down once again to get your thoughts, but we'll see if it's going to be with a tied-up scoreline of 1-1. But honestly, like he's saying, it's just the start of the series. Everything can change. You can have those adaptations as you get your map picks, and obviously, we probably should have anticipated that 0%, given the name, wasn't going to be able to get anything done on Domination. But let's see how they fare now here on mid-down of Avs.
Oh, that's messed up. That's just a little messed up right there. But yeah, it is going to be the Groot Magneto. Yeah, we got to use all the percentages that we can here. Might as well got to use the value of those. But definitely Groot Magneto, very, very common and to be expected with Venom being gone. Going to be a lot of sustain, a lot of ability to split off the high ground. Those walls for the Iron Lash and the or rather the Thorn Lash and the Ironwood walls is going to be really good. Just split off the high ground here is 0%. Just looking for the poke and a fight here, and you see Monk Mutta going up to the high ground, looking to take a fight. Try to drop some spawn behind him. Can he burst down one?
Oh, he's looking for it here.
Like yes.
Trying to get on top of the okay. I'm just gonna say, try to get on top of that Hela, and that's gonna be destroyed, taken down. So solid little flank, has to go into the bubble, and does manage to get pushed back up to full HP. So solid little backstab coming through there. Decent little win, and for now, Cart gonna be locked in position as there are just thorns all over the place.
And Groots are just going to be dividing up. I mean, it's honestly, it's just going to be looking like, I mean, for you history buffs, it's looking like an East versus West Germany. There's walls all over the place. And this is really just the nature of dealing with Groot right now, is that you're going to be splitting up those as already. early Loki copy comes out. They're not using it just yet. They've had the copy. They're just trying to use it. But Sylvie goes down, actually. And everyone's just going to walk forward. I mean, I don't think they've had, I mean, they got nothing. They got literally no value. They just have two. They didn't have to pop the ult entirely there. They're finally going to drop the actual copy for the ult there for the God of Mischief. And that's exactly what you want to see when you pop the Loki ult too. The longer you can hold on to the copy form before using the ult is great.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a little bit interesting. Naga trying to use that whale aggressively, sounds the horn, but immediately is met with death. Gets taken down. Line Pro just does two worlds just to try to escort everybody back forward here, regain control of this card. Ball's going to be raised up. Team getting segregated a little bit here from the side of Luminosity. Players a little bit split apart. Trust me, trying to stay alive, but cannot. It's just in too deep. Makbara sounding his own horn is going to be able to find that kill. So some neutrals on the back end here from the side of 0%. Will continue to maintain control. Recent time buying so far is just over half of the time bank now going to be taken away from the Luminosity, and they still haven't been able to make it over to point A.
And that's a great recontest for 0%. Coming back in, good strangling prison as well, just isolating one. It's almost, you always want like the really large, like, you know, those huge ults. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get everyone and we're gonna like burst everyone down. But just isolating a single strategist, especially when you know that there's no ult on the field for them, is great. Or at least they don't want to pop the ult. So here comes the recontest for 0%. They have to be careful. They only have the meteor in, but they're probably just gonna try to use it here into the strategist ult.
Fade popping Fate. Network's waiting now. Goes ahead. Right, the sky sends it down. Naga was the target, ends up getting taken down by Milio, so kill all the same, but not finding that additional value that could have been. Minute and 12 seconds now remaining here for Luminosity, still sticking around, still trying to brute force their way forward here. I think they're just a couple meters away from getting that bump up on the time bank, but they need some picks desperately. And right now, the HP bars to the side of 0% are looking fairly immovable. That damage is not being layered in quite just yet. Trust me, going to be taken down. Blackso able to just go in and get on top of him. Now has the Torn Prison ready to go. Going to try to lock them up here on the retreat and does just that. And that sets up for another one. As 2 more kills to be found. Luminosity now starting to scramble with 44 seconds remaining.
And we've talked a lot about, especially in NA with Vinny on 100 Thieves, about how Groot is oftentimes like, if you have the better Groot player, there's so much impact on the field there in terms of just like splitting up the team. You have so much damage as well, just combining with the passive there with the wall. And you're seeing it right here where Blackso is just getting consistent value. And I think, trust me, he's having a little bit of an issue right now of like, okay, not getting caught by walls, not because that's a very important dance is the wall dance here, not to get caught behind them, setting up your strangling prison. So there's going to be a lot of pressure here on Trust Me. And already just the focus is disgusting.
And down to 50 fields to come out just to go ahead and get protected. Walls coming up. Takes that over to the top of the bus here. So overtime going to be forced out no matter what as we go down to the last few seconds here of the round. Ult let out from Line Pro, pops that off the rip. Horn sounded by Naga, not going to be finding anything on the back end. Mungmutta able to find his, does have it, just banks here for the moment, waiting for the right time to go ahead and send it. There's a Loki coming out here from the side of Sylvie, just looking for the Duke, up and over the top. Goes Rajaro, Meteor M at the ready, seeking a little bit of a weaker target, but just gets a tiny little splash there on the networks, and that is not going to be nearly enough to try to break through. Right, once again, starting to advance forward. Goddess of Death up into the air goes Milio, looking for a target. Network's able to find one. Naga going to be taken down. Fate rolling to try to keep everybody else alive. Crook down to a sliver. Does get sustained back up. Destroyed now. Maybe having to get into position to go ahead and unleash the ult themselves. They do, but the focus fire is looking so damn good. Doesn't manage to get a fadeaway shot though. Milio going to be taken down. Blackso eliminated here in the front line. Maybe a winning moment here for the side of Luminosity. Mungmutta swapping over onto the Strange, desperately trying to port back in, but it's just going to be to his own demise. So in the end, Luminosity going to be able to scrape by with this push onto A. 2.5 minutes added to the time bank, but still, given how this is going, is that going to be enough to get to B?
It's hard. This is a very, very hard point to push, but with the early high ground control coming out here, making sure to shoot that environment, get the swap there, being able to set up on these very aggressive positions, that's exactly what you want to have if you're LG. And 0%, I really thought they had it. I mean, Networks, I thought it saved the bubbles, kept everyone up there in that initial strangling prison, but just not able to trade the ult effectively, get the picks in return, and LG now in control. And because of that really long fight as well, look at the ult bank. They have another Hornet Proteus. They're going to have a Meteor. They're just pretty much going to have everything they need to just like walk very aggressively into 0%. And for 0%, they need to either take someone off the high ground right now, or they have to be ready to save all their cooldowns and back out and not lose a single person.
Yeah, it's already been a very quick little push here. Swift one moving forward for them. Now noting that Hela over on the flank. And we're able to just go ahead, jump into the Raven. Gets himself out towards safety, and now things get slowed up at the choke. Oh, could be
a lot of poking. I mean, Naga wants to drop the Hornet Proteus so bad here. They're just waiting for something, any sort of combo, because that can burn through those strategists. There's strangling prison. They're gonna let Frozen, but still goes out.
The horn gets out just before the freeze can connect. Emilio going to be taking down Monk Meta dead on the back, and the duelist now taken out of the hands of 0%. They're trying to stick around here, buy some time. Line Pro sends in with the ultimate. Meteor M from Networks able to find Destroyed. Killed back here into their favor, but HP bar is still getting juggled around as Networks is going to be taken down. Naga able to find him there. Rajaro picking up a kill on the Line Pro. Things starting to slip further out of their control here for the side of 0%. Look like maybe they would be able to buy enough time with that bit of Two Worlds, but in the end, Luminosity just showing a bit more tenacity here on the push. They do manage to persevere through a little bit more, just waiting for these last 2 meters to be cleared out. Emilio around the back, just sending in desperation. That Goddess of Death trying to keep them in this one. Percent do manage to reestablish some semblance of control, a little bit of rollback coming through, but now Emilio going to be traded out. Networks, however, able to find Destroyed again, just kind of cycling him back in, not allowing him to get into position, be able to try to utilize that ultimate. Maybe 0% could actually pull this off. 14 seconds remaining now on the clock.
It's a masterful recontest from 0% so far, as now they're just trying to sustain here on point long enough to get another Strangling Prison, maybe get a Horn of Proteus. They're so close. LG coming up with some ultra of their own. It's going to be a race. There's one out, forces the regeneration domain, but they have to get more. They have to find one before some ults come out, and they got to get another. They can't find Trust Me in time.
Yeah, ult is going to be sent. That Horn of Proteus still at the ready here from Naga. Now going to be sending it out, looking for those eliminations, and it's going to be two taken away. Mana and Sylvie both going to be taken down. And that might just be the straw that breaks the camel's back here, as the cleanup looks very good for the side of Luminosity. Just able to strike, able to stick around for just long enough to get the combo off. They managed to get that extra minute and a half. But given how much they've struggled to get these checkpoints, getting to the end of the map, that would be a big step up in performance here from Luminosity on Midtown.
Would be a huge win. Midtown, it can be notoriously tough to full cap, especially when dealing with very competent teams. And you just seeing that fight. I mean, a huge amount of props to 0%. They managed to stay alive long enough for the recontest, and really well done from Melio as well to just like pop the ult, keep the contest going. They use Monk Mudda's blessing of the deep to pretty much like cool down that shift, that bubble to stay alive even longer. But they just could not find the pick fast enough. It's already a Goddess of Death used very aggressively Destroyed, immediately taken out of the form, and now LG they're just going to be looking for the next option because 0%. I mean, their ult bank's pretty good here.
Yes, Destroyed just trying to clear them off the corner here, open up some more space for the cart, but like you said, Focus Fire is going to be too good, as is that Meteor M, Naga, and Crook, both just stacked up. Networks, yeah, he'll give his life for that one, but I ultimately think he's going to be quite happy with how things have transpired. This person going to go out there from Trust Me, looking to try to turn the tides here, but don't have any kind of combo to go with it. And right now, Blackstone is just absolutely immovable in the front line, sends out his own ult, pulls them back together. It's going to be found, though. Luminosity not going to be suffering any additional losses, and Trust Me is actually able to find Line Pro there on the back end, so a little bit more space opened up. Obviously, the respawn advantage is going to be there for the side of 0%, but if they can't get a full reset in, that is going to be where they very much struggle. They're looking for some staggers here, swing around the corner, as Emilio desperately trying to stay alive and just barely manages to do so.
0% has one last chance. I mean, all that value got him from Networks earlier from the Meteor M just completely mitigated from that Hella Loki combo, just getting a res up. See, it's gonna be the copy point now in the OT, trying to find one mini ulta for both sides. They're gonna be watching these flanks, trying to find a Hella on the flank, maybe even a more. Is Melio just sitting up on the high ground, very low.
Barely any distance left to try to cover. It's Destroyed this time, not going to be broken out, and Melio does get taken down. Destroyed, even just that one elimination might just be enough. Mudda going to be taken down. The duelist now eliminated, taken away from the hands of 0%. It's Luminosity desperately trying to get this cart the last few vestiges of meters that they did need so badly to get to the end of the map. Network's trying to stick around here, but the Focus Fire around him is just going to be far too great, and in the end, it looks like that should be enough, and it is. Luminosity, a very rough start, but persevering to the very end, managed to get completion on Midtown, but with zero time in the bank.
And what you see a lot is a consistent theme, and we've talked a lot about it through all of the Rivals Fight Night casts here, is especially when you get to maps like Convoy or even just Convergence, just pretty much anything outside of domination, is if Hella's on the field and you need to be watching for the flanks and Namor, both of them. They're so good at just finding a pick, either whether it be like the Namor coming behind, dropping some spawn, immediately Focus Firing with the right click, or Hella, hitting the Soul Drainer, hitting the left click onto the head in that headshot. That's so important to winning control of the map, and that's exactly what happened there for the last, is getting that late pick on Melio. And you see, this is this recontest that happened here where the Horn of Proteus comes out, and what's so fun about watching Namor sometimes in these strong team fights is like, there was not like a combo really. Like there was a strangling prison that had been used earlier, but it was over at that point. Naga just kind of like walked into the fray and is like, okay, good luck. Here's the whale. Like sometimes you're just dropping it in and just hoping that it gets the value, and it did. And that's also another reason why Namor is just a very, very good pick, is on top of their overall survivability, the ability to control flanks, is Hornet Proteus burns through strategy ults.
And we'll have to see how things transpire here as we do have 0% swapping over onto the attack. Their map pick should be looking strong here overall, but Luminosity, you know, they forced the Venom ban off the rip here from 0%. They're unable to, you know, get rid of the Namor like they had done previously. If they're not able to find a victory here on this map, it just goes to show how well established Luminosity is as far as their flexibility is concerned. But we'll have to see what transpires. 0% expecting some good things here from the likes of Melio and Mukmutta on the duelist roles as they get going on the push.
And this is why Groot, another reason why Groot's so strong here in Midtown with Namor, is that you can fight these high ground so effectively. You see that LG just like sitting here contesting this high ground, making sure that Networks and the rest of 0% can't get up here for free. And it's going to be a lot of emphasis focus early, and already there's one found. Level crook down. That level 1 crook down means no, that's one less healer.
Solid opening pick here. As, trust me, yep, similarly just going to be taken out. There's no way for people to try to peek out and get the heals across onto him. Looks just a dive forward there from Fate to try to go for a fast reset, join in with the rest of the team, get back to the respawn room as quickly as possible. As that'll be the cleanup, but already this is a much pacier push than we were seeing from Luminosity, rounding this final corner, getting ready to just pull up towards point A. 0% still with 3 minutes left in this time bank, and Networks peeking in towards the spawn room.
Really smart usage there as well of that jump pack, the jump pack as well from Rocket Raccoon. They had Line Pro just put that out from the BRB early in the fight, so they kind of Networks navigate from the high ground with the jump. As now LG come back in here for the recontest, some ult's gonna be in the bank, but 0%. I mean, they've been building really quickly because they won that first fight, immediately forcing the blessing of the deep 2 from Networks. That's crucial because now Naga is not gonna be able to actually be super aggressive just yet. They're gonna have to wait for those cooldowns.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the off angle, they're just trying to play around just desperately, just trying to jump to gain any kind of line of sight. And Wiley's just pumping some spears forward into the tankier targets on the side of 0%, so coming away with a neutral pick, going to be a little bit more difficult, but there's the combo looking for it, but they are protected, so Hornet Proteus not going to be delivering any eliminations quite just yet here for the side of Luminosity, maybe giving some pause up to 0%, but not forcing them back away. Fade up from Line Pro, so going to be taken down, just getting eliminated out of the fight there by Trust Me, comes away with a kill right before the ult can be invested, and that's going to force 0% to just backpedal here for pretty much the first time so far in their attack.
It's a quintessential Midtown fight. Ults get traded, no one gets found in Hornet Proteus. Melio unfortunately not able to get a pick, so they don't get the Resin Block. And so you lose one, and you just have to back. Melio here on the flank, looking for him with the Soul Drainer, doesn't find it, doesn't land it, just gonna keep poking right now, and this is pretty consistent. I mean, the flank fights here, denying the monster spawns, just looking for a hella pick, it's just what you have to do. You need to find some sort of opening, ideally without having to invest all of your ults.
Okay, well, Melio is going to be going for it, taking to the skies, layering in this damage. Naga coming away with one, though, as Sylvie's going to be taken down, Destroyed, their own ultimate in play. Is Line Pro going to be eliminated? Melio does get the res, bringing Sylvie back into the fight, but Destroyed is just absolutely plowing him at the moment. Network's the last one to die there in that fight, and the cleanup will be good. And so far, this defensive hold just in front of point A, once again continuing, this time in Luminosity's favor. Now a minute remaining for 0% on the push.
And Naga going down early there, but gets the early pick on Sylvie. So it denies the God of Mischief, denies that copy, denies the strategist value. And even with some of the trades that come out there from Elio's ult, it doesn't matter. And now we're in a last fight territory here, Achilleos, where 0% has to come in. They have the strength in prison. They still have the copy. They'll have double strategist ult, in fact. So what's so important is looking for the combo right now. Can someone land that strength in prison Hornet Proteus combo? And it's definitely not going to be Melio, because Melio has already been picked.
Yep, already taken out of the fray here. Blackstone just getting juggled around here in the front lines, put up the walls, trying to dance around line of sight, keep himself alive. Sustain being found. Line Pro, eventually though, feeling enough pressure, will go ahead and try to send the ultimate, especially as the whales come in their way. So we'll be able to mitigate that, keep everybody alive for the time being. Meteor M similarly dodged out. Eliminations not being found quite just yet. Crook, ultimate built up, immediately going to be invested. Blackstone falling lower and lower, going to be taken down. So Destroyed able to find the elimination, as Emilio similarly will fall. A solid follow-up kill. Destroyed has just been taking over on this defense. 2 seconds remaining. The touch is there. The overtime not going to be forced out. Never mind. They backpedal off of it. Just no way to stick around. And in the end, it ends up being a full hold. What a performance from Luminosity, just shrugging off the pressure. A decent start for 0%, but in the end, we're up 2-0. It's match point.
Just not able to make it happen. I mean, they had the combo set up. They survived. I mean, great bulwarks coming out from Networks to keep them alive through that initial combo. for LG, but they just couldn't get the follow-up. I mean, the Strangling Prison goes out for Bluxo. Monk Munda was nowhere to be found, and partially because Melio, since they went down so early, there was a lot of pressure on Monk Munda, so he was just not able to get the Hornet Proteus out. And so when you're down the pick, you don't get the combo, you've already popped your strategist ults, it's just a slow burn loss at that point, unless a miracle happens, pretty much. And no miracle occurred. I mean, we're still in, very regular gaming territory. There was not a miracle play. So LG looking pretty flexible, and also, more importantly, I'm thinking just seem like they're making a lot more plays in general, just getting the picks they need comparatively, where typically this strategist line, this duelist line in particular for 0% is just getting a lot more value, and I'm not seeing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of interesting. I mean, it started out really, really well for 0%, right? Going into it, I would actually say the strategist play, or rather the duelist play, looked way better in the beginning for 0%. You suddenly had way more room for Monk Munda. You had way more room for Melio to get things done. They nearly had a first point hold of their own. But I think a key difference between both teams is that 0% was just really bad at saving enough resources to actually end fights at the final apex of the point. And it happened repeatedly on their defense, where LG would just save up just enough. They'd get a key pick, oftentimes with Naga with the Horn of Proteus, just found a whale at the right spot, get 2 pickoffs, push through on the point, and then 0%, when it comes time for their attack, they're not able to save up enough critical resources. They can't find a period of time to actually push everything through to the end, and they just get held at first. So to me, I kind of look a little bit at the value you're getting from your ult economy here, and there is a key difference between both teams in that regard, and LG came out on top when it mattered most.
I mean, if you're 0%, this has to feel a little bit brutal. Yes, we're talking about it. You can kind of shrug off those map ones. Okay, domination doesn't go your way, but you get into your map pick, you make the adjustments in the draft where it seems like it's going to be favoring you in the end. And Luminosity is still able to come out with the victory, and in dominant fashion at that. 3-0, just getting the full hold, not allowing for them to get any chance to go on that, that desperate push that we saw from Luminosity's attack. How do you bounce back from here, Avas? You've been a pro gamer in the past. Yes, you're a little bit washed these days, but how do you try to get yourself back in this series?
You just shoot a stray as you throw that in. It's like, we need your expert opinion, but also you're kind of bad nowadays. But please,
we should clarify. We should clarify what a stray is, because as far as I was concerned, that was a direct hit.
That was aim. No. Yeah, that was definitely aim. That was not a stray. That was a significant. That was a very trained shot that directly to the heart. Realistically, it's just confidence. As the willpower, ZP is going to continue to chuckle at my demise, but it's just the confidence and the pretty much the ability to bounce back from, okay, we're down 2 maps. That's fine. Maybe we do a rousing speech. Maybe we're going to drop some you're going to do rally. Everyone, let's rally together. Whatever your strategy is. Maybe some locker room. We're going to slap each other's butts. Remember there, whatever you need. But probably they're playing remotely, so I don't think that's really an option. They don't have the locker room talks currently, but I do think that it's all about just the mental fortitude. And I think the Venom ban was a good ban for 0%. They definitely looked a bit more comfortable playing into this the Groot Magneto compositions, playing a little bit slower, getting to pull out the Hela, getting to play the Namor. That's definitely something that looked better for them than playing into the Venom or playing into the triple strategist even. And something that if they're worried about, oh, maybe we can't match even on the Groot, another option is they could always still play triple, because what's actually pretty decent into a Venom Dive 2 that we've seen a lot of teams play is they could counter triple strategists and play the Adam Warlock, because Adam Warlock, because of the live stream and the Soul Bond, it just makes it very, very hard to get picks on the back line. But if they're not comfortable in that comp, it's probably a reason we haven't been seeing them play it. So more than likely, they're just going to try to keep the Venom off the field, play some more comps that fits their style, maybe try to even get some Doctor Strange Magneto out, because that's something that I've seen this Vanguard line play a lot for the 0% Vanguards. So it honestly just comes down to, do you have the mental fortitude to keep playing? Because I don't think there's much else they can do composition-wise without getting really wacky.
Well, truthfully, in the neutral, at least for a good portion of the last map, I thought Black Style matched up very well against Trust Me in the group mirror. I didn't feel like the group mirror was a deficiency. I felt like the deficiency was that 0% would play really well for a huge portion of a point, and then they just wouldn't get a critical mass pickoff when they actually needed to push everyone off to actually end the game. and they would just, what happened is that they weren't getting good value out of a lot of their ultimates. It would just go kind of awry, or there are even points too where like Destroyed got like super key resurrections off with the Hela when necessary. Like there's one point where Meteor M comes in, kills 2 people, including the Loki, and the push might have ended right there. Except Destroyed is able to get pick off, bring the Loki back into play, and suddenly it's still going, right? Like LG benefited a lot from stuff like that. And I think again, it was like half ult economy, half like kind of circumstance. I don't think 0% actually played too badly in the last one. It simply just did not roll their way in the end.
It's not quite clutch enough. Well, we're waiting to see what this potentially final map of the series is going to be here as Luminosity look to try to blaze their way forward into that finals matchup to try to take down Virtus Pro, dethrone them here in EU, and it's going to be Shin Shibuya to go ahead and see if 0% are going to be able to answer one back. So thoughts on this one, ZP, before you go?
Thoughts on this one as we go? I think, honestly, if you're 0%, you can't be rattled from what just happened. I think they were a lot closer to winning map 2 than they were on map 1. I don't think you radically changed things here. I think you just focused down on fundamentals, maybe better ult economy overall, and run with the same game plan, because I think if you run the last map 10 times, there's a world where they might even win it like 6 or 7, right? I think they got a little bit binned by variance. Don't change everything that was working.
I'm talking about sticking to the game plan. Do you think that there still needs to be a couple adjustments to the ban protect here, or do you think that they could widely go with the same one that they did there on Midtown and be able to find success still?
I think when it comes to the ban protect, you probably keep it largely the same. I mean, you can maybe argue about, okay, what do you want to do with Namor on that side of things? Because I could argue in the DPS matchup, maybe the Namor went a little bit more against them, but I don't know. I mean, I think if they first ban the Venom, they don't necessarily, need to worry about the banning them more later, but we'll see where it goes. And for them, I actually just wouldn't really change much at all, and run it back one more time.
Yeah, any counterpoint? Any agreements?
Well, first of all, I'm glad. Even regardless of the analysis, I'm like, ZP, I can't wait for you to get out of here. You're just gonna give your thoughts on this map, and you're gone. We don't want you in the interim. We get out of here. But like, I do think that overall that. I do think overall that it's interesting for 2 points, because I look at Shin Shibuya and I think ZP has a really good point where, honestly, like I said, I don't think there's a composition issue. Honestly, there's obviously they could maybe play a more traditional double shield with a Doctor Strange Magneto, but Luxo did look really good on the Groot, and it really was the ult economy just not getting the picks, the values from their duelist that kind of rolled them a bit, I think, on Midtown. And going to Shin Shibuya, where it's pretty interesting, because a lot of teams, especially with how our format works, right, is our first map's always domination. After that, it's loser pick. You just can't play the same map again. And so we played the gauntlet of map types now. We played domination, we were done convoy, and now we're about to go to convergence. And the interesting part of Shin Shibuya is that this gives the opportunity for 0% to play a double shield, a very, very standard comp here of Strange and also Magneto, if they so choose to do so, because portals are very strong in this map. The ability to block on spawns, just rotate, the ability to take high ground in general with Doctor Strange, very, very powerful. But they could just play more Groot. I wouldn't be surprised to see more Groot. So it's going to come down still to just fixing their mistakes and not really a compositional choice. As LG, once again, they don't want to deal with Melio's Wolverine. They really do not want to play against that.
Yep, continue to go ahead and take that out of the equation, and let's see what are the changes going to look like, if any, for 0%. As the onus is.
This is a very common Venom map for LG too. When LG has played this map in the past,
sure, I think the Venom ban here.
So there could be a Venom ban.
They're discussing it though, but yeah, okay. Venom ban comes in again. I don't think they've changed that just based on the tank matchup that we saw. But now we'll see on the protect end here. Is there going to be any variance in terms of what they themselves want to play? See what it is.
I don't think they need to protect Groot here. I doubt they protect Groot. I think they'll leave Groot alone, because either shield option here, invisible Groot being protected. Now that's pretty interesting.
It's been a second round ban from Luminosity, so
I do think Groot might get banned. I don't think LG actually like the Groot versus Groot matchup there in the neutral that much. I think if they can, I think they might get rid of it. We'll see, but I think Groot ban odds here at least 50% for me.
Okay, well we're waiting to see. Well, what are they going to take? I mean, adding Warlock Protect makes a lot of sense. LG likes Warlock, and it's the group ban. I mean, ZP, you called it, but also, like I was talking about, I don't think it really matters either way. Both compositions for Vanguard are going to be pretty strong here. You don't necessarily have to have the Groot. You could be fine with Doctor Strange. And Star-Lord being banned makes a lot of sense, denies the team up. And Invisible Woman being in, I think also gives 0%, the more I think about it, a little bit more options to... Not only is Invisible Woman just a very strong strategist, but it does give you some very strong ability to actually deny aggression because of the force physics. You get the invisible boundary, which is also great for not just like the heals, but also just setting up for the next fight and, you know, enabling your flankers as well with your guardian shield. So it's going to be a pretty interesting map here and pretty much, you know, their last chance for 0%.
Well, that's going to be my final question to ZP before we do send him off the pasture for the rest of this series. Do you think, or until the the next map if they close it out?
We're taking him to the farm upstate.
Do you think
he's going to the farm upstate?
Yeah,
off to a lovely
real grim.
Do you think that 0% are going to be able to run it back?
I think last map was close. I don't think this is entirely out of the question, although I am a little bit worried that the fact that Groot got banned, we'll see how the tank matchup works, because the tank matchup looked really good for them last time around. This time around, we'll see. I think most of the gap on map 1, though, was just the Venom versus not Venom, so I don't think they have too much to be worried about, but we'll see. I think if 0% plays as well as they did last map, there's a good chance we see a map 4, but this is their map pick. We'll see what they've prepped.
All right, well, we will see you after this map regardless. The question is it going to be a continuation of the series going into a 4th map, or is it going to be Luminosity just steamrolling their way 3-0 into the finals of EU here at week 3 of Rivals Fight Night? Let's go ahead and get into the action here. Vast, anything sticking out to you?
Well, I mean, not as if anything, it's nothing sticking out because it's a pretty standard composition here. Is just going to be, you have a lot of options to fight the off angles with the Hela, with the Namor. You have both, pretty standard double shield to just make it through the choke, have your Doctor Strange take high ground. So all of this makes a lot of sense. There's nothing too expected. The only thing that's a little bit interesting is that LG choosing to play the Loki here. So you get the regeneration domain, you maybe get that fast copy, and you get a lot more damage actually from Loki. While 0% choosing to just get that team up value, and I'll have the Invisible Woman. So really just, the Invisible Woman is going to be very crucial. Like, what does Lion Pro's extra value look like here? Is it the shields, is it the pushes? And right now it's neither, as Melio is going to be found.
Well, so Stroid able to go ahead and just close one out in that neutral. Melio going to be taken down. Gives an opportunity for Stroid to go ahead and establish a lead in regards towards that ult charge, but already pushing up onto the point, looking for that second tick. Let's get a contest here from 0% to go ahead and stop that in his tracks for now. Is just going to be Networks widely trying to lead the charge here and keep that one under control for the time being. But I mean, Stroid is just here in the flank, just constantly watching over towards the back, making sure that he himself is not going to be getting flanked at any given moment here. And Akmana now going to be taken down. Line Pro going to be eliminated, and that should basically be the breakout onto the point. They do get the ult out of Crook, I suppose, as a minor consolation. Maybe didn't need to be committed. But aside from that, yeah, or no, he didn't. Never mind. That's me misreading.
It was just a brutal first point. Just a very, very brutal first point. I mean, they're going to have to drop that early invisible boundaries all from Line Pro. Line Pro trying to actually use the force physics, and they're going to get Naga with that, which is great. That's what you need to be getting for the Invisible Woman, is that you need to be getting some value in force physics, like whether it be sucking them in, pushing them out, and they get one pick, but they had to pop an ult early, and the card, I mean, overall, the card's not that far. I mean, there's lots more time for the contest for the spawners to come back, because the Meteor gets used here. Everyone has to be afraid of it.
They do manage to get away. Yeah, not even too much splash damage on the back end of that one, so Sense not getting rewarded for it. As Naga nearly getting picked off there in midair. One party is at the ready. But now, 0% pulling the trigger, trying to use those ultimates to take some forward space. Immediately do get jumped back around the corner, so Card able to go ahead and start getting escorted forward. Agamotto going to be going out from Networks, and the follow-up is looking good. Crook, Fate, and Destroyed all going to be taken down. The cleanup, as they chase them for a little bit more, will be rewarded. A full team wipe to be found, and 0% can now go ahead and firmly establish some control.
And that's just a hero play. I mean, Networks goes in, sees the opening, sees how split Naga is, so they'd use some resources early, drops the Agamotto. And Networks has been a player in general for 0% for this roster that's been very, very strong on Vanguard, makes a lot of plays. So, getting Networks, particularly on the Doctor Strange, so getting Networks onto this character, onto this hero is great for them here. So I think we're going to see a lot of that value as LG looks to just try to remove them from the high ground now, look for the recontest, look for an off angle potentially, as 0% holding extremely aggressively, and maybe a little too aggressively there.
Yeah, Million is out wide and getting taken down. Ultimate still going to be invested here from the side of Line Probe, trying to keep them sustained. Push forward though, just going to disrespect that. Stack in on top of Fate's ultimate. As the horn goes out, and Naga not going to be able to find a pick up the back of that one, but Black's still going to be taken down. As, trust me, coming away with that elimination. So further space going to be awarded here to the side of Luminosity. Can once again resume the push. Magmata taking down here on the back end. The team desperately trying to backpedal over towards the spawns, but one by one they will fall. And that is going to be a good amount of distance now for the cart to advance, still with just under 3 minutes remaining. Luminosity looking for a bit more in that time bank.
see how aggressively LG are playing here. Finding another Sestroid on the flank, finding Melio that was getting pressure from Trust Me, and this is what LG loves to see, and what you absolutely need to do as offense is just make sure that you can keep the pressure here on the spawns, find more picks, and there's 2 players behind of 0% right now.
I mean, they're getting crushed on both fronts. Line Pro's just tanking down there as Crook is able to find the eliminations. Destroyed now is just right in front. He's touching the spawn room doors. One part is going to be thrown in once. Again, not going to be finding too much there off the back of that, but as Naga is able to come away with one onto Magmutta, but now up into the skies, Melio desperately needing to find some kind of eliminations here to stop this tide, but it looks like it's just completely unstoppable at the moment here. A kill found, Naga will get taken down, 2 eliminations coming away here for the side of 0%, but just like that, the answer back comes in. The res is there, Crook is back into the fray, and the cart now glides forward into the checkpoint.
And oftentimes when we talk about Marvel Rivals, and I think we look at the top level, like a lot of the game is defined by this ult tempo, but when you make plays like that for LG, that's where you can really see the value of neutral fighting and positioning, because LG gets those late stagger picks. They chase into spawn. They have 2 people behind. They force ults in a very disadvantaged situation. They're keeping the pressure on point the whole time. And because of that encirclement, because of that flanks that are coming out from both Naga and Sestroid, it completely denies the chance for 0% to have a really good chance of using their ults effectively at all, because they're losing picks. They're worried about the positioning. As now they're going to come out here for another fight on the point. I mean, as they're approaching last, seconds already gotten. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on.
Yeah, I mean, they're just sticking around. I mean, look how fearlessly Rajaro is pushing up, and okay, he does get punished for that, but immediately Naga just sending out the horn. 2 kills going to be coming through his Line Pro and Melio. That combo that they just swapped over to gets eliminated, gets taken right out of the fray. And it just looks like the pain is going to continue here. So much control from Luminosity, just flooding forward, once again touching the spawn room doors. Naga fearlessly just continuing to poke the prod, spear after spear. I mean, 0%, they need to find a foothold. They need to find it right now. That card is being brought to bear. Just a couple more meters left to go.
I mean, Melio and the backline are having the worst day of their lives versus Naga. Naga is just like so aggressive on the flank. Ivamoto again from Networks finds one. They managed to get the burst of the Maelstrom there too as well. So it literally had to get something. Got one. Hopefully you don't lose any of the meter rim. They're trying to shield, making sure no one goes down. No one does. And now 0% may be in a situation where they could stabilize.
Ultimate from Tilby going to be expiring here. Flex it down to about half HP. I have a motor out from Rajaro, and Tilby going to be taken down.
Oh my, it got blocked.
In, but it's blocked. The shield goes up, and Rajaro keeps himself protected. And in the meantime, I mean, Destroyed is just absolutely tearing them limb for limb. TP's forward, jumps down, gets in behind. The Strange doesn't matter. Trust me, he's already killed him, as this is an absolute slaughter to push to completion. A minute and 31 seconds remaining for Luminosity as they get to the end of Shin Shibuya.
I mean, finishing Shin Shibuya is a victory in and of itself, but finishing with time, and also just seeing some of those last scenes, you know, it's like you're seeing just it feels like I'm flipping through like a crime dossier gets handed to me at the scene by my junior detective. Is like, take a look at these. I'm like scrolling through here and I'm like, oh no, like put it away. Like, cause I'm seeing the block on the Kraken impact. I'm seeing the Eye of Agamotto get one, but this team falls over behind. Naga playing so aggressively, just like pressuring out, you know, just so many cooldowns early, forcing all this healing. It just, right now, 0% doesn't have an answer. They have no answers to the aggression that's happening from LG. And so this is one of the moments where you have to throw something at the wall, right? Like, you're either going to change up something compositionally, like drastically, or you need to play way more aggressively. You need to get power. And I feel like the biggest pain point here is ZP had highlighted when we talked about previously, and we talked, it's just like duelists need to be winning these fights. The duelists need to be winning these fights. Yeah. You can't get any picked early. And so far, they just have not gotten that usual value that you would normally expect from Magmutta or rather, and also Melio. They just aren't getting any picks.
Yeah, and I just feel like every single time they are able to get one pick, it's just immediately turned on its head. You know, okay, we got a kill on the Crook, but Destroyed gets a pick, boom, Crook res right back into the mix. So every single time 0% are trying to take one step forward, they're knocked back 3. Let's see though, 0% needing to dig deep. We're able to take Luminosity down to 0 time remaining on that mid-down push, but then they got full health. They cannot afford for that to happen. They need to pull off a reverse sweep, and it all has to start right here on this map. Pop over onto the thing, a little bit of a newer look here for Networks in the series. See how he does fare, as Line Pro's still going to be sticking through with that Rocket Raccoon.
Pretty interesting here, because with the Rocket Raccoon once again giving the infinite grid, giving that team up to Magmutta, allowing to get the the infinite ammo, the fire rate every once in a while, maybe build a really fast amplifier and also have a res.
Okay,
we talked about the duelists. I mean, Melio getting one, that's exactly what they needed.
But this is also the change-up that they've had. It's not only the swap back over onto that Winter Soldier, but it is Munkmutta playing it instead of Milio going forward over onto that Hella. But as soon as I mention their name, both of them end up dying. Trust me, he's able to find one. Resi is set up from Line Pro, does bring Munkmutta back into the fight. So just down a singular player here at Line Pro.
Not the Rocket Raccoon contest on the high ground with the bubble. Rocket, I mean, they just had, Linebro said, fine, I'll do it myself. I mean, it did not happen, but, and this is the issue here a bit with not having Doctor Strange. You're not having that quick levitation to get up. You're not having the shield. So there's so much damage here from the high ground that where Networks, if they're going to be playing the thing here, they need to be making more space, making more presence felt, as 0% just struggling to get in.
Okay, well, Line Pro does go ahead, dumps the ultimate, now expiring. Sylvie trying to escort forward here. As Fate gets popped, Naga just waiting that one out. The Whale coming into the back end, and value is going to be found as once again, it's this duelist duo taken down off the rip. One apiece as Destroyed finds one, Naga gets the other. Fate will get involved as Networks will fall there in that front line, and now it's just panic mode for 0%, backpedaling frantically. We'll be able to avoid, it seems, any additional stagger kills coming through, but Luminosity just have an absolute chokehold on this point at the moment.
Mung to feel like an ancient Roman, like Nero or something, where he ordered all of his soldiers to stab the sea. He's just like firing his gun at the ocean. Naga's just up on the high ground using whales, and it's just, even with the infinite grit pop, I mean, you just get so much value up on the high ground. You're so tanky. There's no one that can really contest him right now. As Network, just punching here on the point, trying to find making anything happen, just trying to get Rajaro off, just maybe like get him off the point, maybe move with this angle, and they're slowly going to do that. But LG's still all poised on the high ground. You see his positioning. So now for 0%, their next issue is, okay, how do we get a pick? Can we even get a pick? Can we make someone move? Because LG is playing so incredibly split right now, Achilles.
Yeah, they're just all across the point. And there you go, Goddess Death going to be popped from Destroyed. Help from above, Meteor going to be going out, and Foxo is able to find one. Fate going to be taken down, a critical pick to be found now that Ultimate not going to be in the fight quite just yet. Kraken going to be popped here from Munkmutta, looking for some follow-up, and Networks is going to be taken down in the front line. Does get Rez back into the fight, and Melio comes away with one. Destroyed, eliminated. Fate, however, rejoining, does give them that ult to go ahead and continue to be able to recontest, but for now, first tick going to be surrendered over, second tick going to be likely. The push forward coming through, they get the recontest. As Fate desperately trying to get over towards Trust Me to keep him alive, and is able to do so for the time being. Sylvie, their ult now on the back end, but Naga sends out the horn, and that's going to be Munkmutta taken down. So losing out on one of their players, Line Pro not having the res available. Gonna have to wait for him to just try to rejoin here naturally as Melio takes to the skies. The Goddess of Death now going to be popped, just looking for a target, but he's split away from so many targets here. But eventually that Hail Mary shot ends up connecting. Naga going to be taken down. A potential window of opportunity, but only 33 seconds now remaining here for 0%. Drop down Agamotto, finding a stun. Sylvie going to be caught up, as is Boxo, and these kills continuing to come through. Just continue to give Luminosity the advantage round over round, fight over fight here, Avast.
I mean, there is just nothing in the bank left. There's nothing in the bank left. Munkmutta has been losing to the Ocean. It's finally time. Surely Gun beats Ocean this time. About to have the Kraken impact. About to have another amplifier. Network's close to the clobbering time. The bank is pretty good here. They have some options. They just need, wait, they're frozen. Network's just frozen. Okay, they can touch. No, they're fine. Loxo managed to get the touch. All is well. All is fine. They have the amplifier. Now they need to have something happen with this ult. The answer is no. Nothing's
Trust Me is going to be the only one getting caught by it. Meteor going to be sent out. Crook able to find one. His Blackstone's going to be taken down. Sylvie going to be taken down on the back. And a tank, one of their healers, both going to be eliminated. Now Melio dead as well. The desperate swap onto the Psylocke. But bear no fruit. Naga is just absolutely popping them one after the other alongside Destroyed. And it's similar scenes as Midtown. Another full hold. A 3-0 in the map and a 3-0 in the series here at Vast. Luminosity looking dominant and looking like they may just be able to challenge Virtus Pro in that finals.
It is certainly possible. And I mean, so huge ups to LG because they played, not only do they play something that we've seen them play a lot, which is like that Venom comp, which they love to play with a very, very mobile triple strategist with the Star-Lord, but we got to see them flex a lot. And in particular, I mean, look at Shin Shibuya, that hold there. They played it so expertly. I've never seen a Winter Soldier get less value, ever. Especially with the Winter Soldier, the caliber of Munkmutta, who's been a player that's been very, very good historically for this roster. And, typically a lot on the Hela, but also on the Winter Soldier. And Munkmutta was just essentially ineffective. Didn't get value from the Kraken impact, wasn't able to remove people from the high ground, and I'm not even going to be necessarily blaming them for that because like the positioning was so incredibly strong from the rest of the team there for LG to where it just had to feel powerless at points. But it really comes back down to there were no picks being gotten at any point from 0%.
Meanwhile, you look at what happened on that final defense, right? Like, it was kind of a microcosm of the entire map as far as what Naga was able to do on the Namor, where you just see Naga just chilling in this cubby hole, protected by all of his squids, getting pick-off after pick-off in the neutral, and every single horn got ridiculous value. I mean, the difference in what you were getting from the duelists between both teams in this last map was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Destroyed also carrying a decent part of that, but my goodness. And then you look at the swaps that are coming in where you protect Invisible Woman, you play it for half of the map, and then you get off of it because you go, no, we need to like buff our Winter Soldier instead with Rocket Raccoon team up. It was very discombobulated from 0% on this map, which, by the way, was also their map pick.
Yeah, just not being able to find the value there on the map picks. And I think, unfortunately, yeah, I just looked back at the screen here. 0% got 0 objectives, 0% on domination the whole way throughout. Brutality here. Luminosity, I mean, to kind of put it further into perspective, as you were talking about the lack of value from Winter Soldier, we didn't hear Winter Soldier say the word again once today. And that's shocking.
Astronomically low chance that's been happening in recent Marvel Rivals play is seeing no agains, like, at all. I mean, it's more, change it to never. So I overall just I think it's almost tough to talk about because this roster has historically been very good. They just finished up the EMEA MRI, the Marvel Rivals Invitational, and they played a really close match versus OG there. And it doesn't seem like, maybe they're testing stuff out now with this roster. Maybe things are shifting a little bit, like figuring out where they're footing, because it could just, there's a lot of different options, right, as to why they work out. But this roster is definitely better than the performance they showed here today versus LG. But I do think also, not to underplay LG, this team is very, very good. And I talked about at the start of the show how there's a very kind of like sort of power vacuum of like who is the consistently second best team in Europe behind Virtus Pro, and there's a lot of different teams fighting for that, including like LG, obviously the 0%, OG, ex-Oblivione. Like there's a lot of really good teams currently, so I'm thinking 0% should more than likely be able to bounce back from this.
Yeah, I think today I'm definitely more willing to say it was a masterclass coming in from LG rather than ZP looking particularly rough. I can't say just ZP. I have to say 0% every time. I cannot abbreviate it. It's too much. It's ZPception. But on that note, we do have our MVP of the match, and this was a tough one. You could have made an argument for Destroyed, but you had to give it to Naga, especially from map 2 on. What we saw from the Namor was just brutal consistency. In the neutral, getting pickoffs reliably, having all the summons in the right spot, but mostly the whales, the horn being blown at the right time, oftentimes not even just getting one, but getting two over and over again. You think back on Midtown where 0% nearly had the first point hold. The person that broke it open on the first point and the second point was Naga with the horn every single time. Naga was just absolutely the best performer on the server, hands down.
Yes, yeah. The regularity that they were able to find impact. Just some of the off angles that they were able to play here and just catch people completely off guard. Naga, truly a different beast, and I think different is the key word here, because there was a bit of a diff across the board, and Naga was just outplaying everybody.
The ocean. It's just the power of the ocean. I mean, it's definitely saw on that last map. And Naga was definitely the difference maker, and you see why Namor gets picked so often, right? There's a couple just like key duelist picks that are very standard, and Namor is definitely one of those right now, the top of Marvel Rivals. And I think that you see that because you have the sustainability, you have the ability to take high ground, you have the ability to go flank fight, you have the ability to burst someone down, you have the ability to kill, get a limbs through Stratusult with the Horn of Proteus. You just have a lot of value in that kit currently, and Naga used it very, very expertly. And the great thing about Naga too is that they're not a Namor one trick. They're not a player that, like, oh, you take them off the Namor, like, they don't look as good. No, they play Star-Lord. They play a lot of different great heroes, and they play it really, really well. But clearly the Namor was a huge difference maker for them in this match. And even their Star-Lord play earlier in the series, too. So definitely a player to watch out for as we, move on through the rest of the tournament today, and also just in general in Marvel Rivals in the holistic scene. And it's had a relatively long pro career outside of this in shooters. So I do think that they're going to be continuing to take that, pretty much all that experience, and make it work here in a game like Marvel Rivals.
I do want to ask ZP before we swap you out, because we're going to be having Jake step in for our EU finals, our EU money match. How do you feel about Luminosity going up against Virtus Pro? Obviously, Virtus Pro has been just indomitable thus far. Do you think Luminosity stands a chance?
I do, and I think part of it just comes down to the fact that, as we've seen in multiple games, especially early in their lifetime, we see a lot of times like you have one team at the top and they stay at the top for a while. But while you're at the top, everyone now realizes you're at the top and they are game planning for you more than anyone else. There's a lot of game tape out there on VP. I think people know what VP does well, especially in regards to like preferences for how they like to play on duelists, how they tend to value things like Winter Soldier. I think for me going into this, you'll know LG has done their homework if they go in and they are leading with Winter Soldier bans, not letting Sparker go in and rack up the agains and just play with the strategy tailored against VP. I don't know if we'll see it go down that way, but I'm hoping we do.
All right, well, time will tell. We're going to get ready to go to a quick little break, and when we come back, we are going to get into that money match. $1,000 on the line. VP, will they maintain the throne, or will it go the way of Luminosity with a new challenger on the horizon? We'll have to wait and see, but if you guys are enjoying what you're seeing, follow us on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, etc., because this happens every single week. I am not as good at shilling as Puckett. He's kind of the sultan of shill, but we love you all. We appreciate the support. Continue to do so, and we'll see you on the other side of the break for more Rivals Fight Night number 3. Don't go anywhere.